What's up, everybody, and welcome here to my official Premier League predictions for Matchday 26 on this video. My official Premier League prediction at 7:30 kickoff between Chelsea and Leeds United. A massive game for Chelsea. They have to try and win this game because in their last Premier League matchup on Matchday 25, Chelsea obviously picked up a big win over Wolves, 3-1 in that matchup this weekend. They're still in the fight in the top four race with Manchester United, Liverpool, and also Chelsea in that top four race, and also Aston Villa as well. This game is very, very huge, very, very big for them to try and pick up a win. But for Leeds, however, good win on Friday Night Football against Forest. They won 3-1, they did, against Nottingham Forest on Friday Night Football. Big win for Leeds, and they are now 6 points clear from the relegation drop on the exact same points as Spurs in 29 points and the exact same points as them in the Premier League table. So Leeds have been pretty good, very solid they've been, and I cannot really question how they've done this season compared to the teams who go up from the Championship to the Premier League. They're going straight back down again the following season. They've done pretty good. Leeds and Sunderland have been very stable so far since the other two promoted clubs from last season. But if I've got to put a prediction in this matchup against Chelsea and Leeds, I do think Chelsea, as they're the home team, Chelsea have forgot about what happened before they lost to Arsenal in the Carabao Cup at home. Big loss in terms of losing at home a few weeks back, and also lost from last week in the second leg away from home at the Emirates. But I do think with Liam Rosenior's team, I do think he'll bounce in terms of a good managerial bounce. I think he'll pick up some form and pick up a win against Leeds. So I'm going to go for my prediction. I'm going to go 2-0 for Chelsea. I think Chelsea will win comfortably in this game. I do think Leeds will give it a go at Stamford Bridge, but I do not expect them to make an upset or win by any means. I do think Chelsea will go to this game at tonight with a 2-0 victory as my score prediction. Now my score prediction between Bournemouth, who travel away to Everton at Everton's new stadium of this season, and Everton are the home team. The last time that these two played each other is when Everton defeated Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium by a 1-goal victory from Jack Grealish way back in December. But now, 2 months later, second half of the season, they both play each other again. Everton are at home. They are in the top mid-table position in the Premier League. As for Bournemouth, they are climbing up the table slightly in the league, and I've seen that recently after a poor run of games they've lost during Christmas period and dropping points. But Bournemouth, however, they did draw against Villa at home during the weekend. So it's a very huge game. This is obviously for Bournemouth to pick up anything over Everton. As for Everton, however, they defeated Fulham away from home, a big away victory for David Moyes' side on the weekend. But my honest prediction between Everton and Bournemouth, I do think the score's going to be, I'll probably say a draw, I think, because I do think Bournemouth did try to win that game, and they did draw to Villa on Saturday. But I do think in this game, since Bournemouth are away from home, since Everton's had a very good season under David Moyes, and they're in a European fight, they are Everton. So I do think that this game will come down to a draw. So 1-1 is my score prediction between Everton and Bournemouth. Now my official score prediction between the strugglers of Tottenham, and they play at home to Newcastle. Big loss on the weekend to Manchester United. They lost 2-0 away from home. They picked up some poor defeats recently in the league, back-to-back defeats. And Thomas Frank is still in charge, still manager for Tottenham, but they are not looking great. They're only 6 points clear from the relegation drop. 6 points clear from the relegation drop. So I do think that this is a very, very, very important game. This is going to be for Tottenham to pick up some form. Newcastle, however, they did lose 3-2 to Brentford at home during the weekend, and I do think that Newcastle are not having a good Premier League season compared to last season. I think it's all been well documented in terms of they've been a mid-table bottom position, bottom half of the table. They've been around there a little bit slightly, and I do think that Newcastle really need to pick up some form, obviously. Even my striker, Waldemade, is also my fantasy team as well for tonight. So I really hope he scores for Newcastle. As for Tottenham, I do think they have to win this game, because I think that they don't win this game, and if Leeds pick up a win against Chelsea, or if Forest win in their matchup against Wolves, I do think Spurs will be in big trouble. And if West Ham pick up a win over Man United, then they're in big trouble, Spurs. But my honest prediction on tonight, I do think the score's going to be a win for the away team. Not being biased because I'm an Arsenal supporter, I do think Newcastle will pick up a win. So in my prediction at Tottenham Stadium this evening, I'm going Spurs 0, Newcastle United 1. I do think that Newcastle will win the game, and I think Anthony Gordon will be on the score sheet. So I'm going to go 1-0 for the Geordies, who travel to North London for tonight. So 1-0 my score prediction for the Magpies of Newcastle. And a very interesting game for Manchester United, because one lucky fan of Man United could get their hair cut by the end of the game if Man United do end up beating West Ham to make it 5 games in a row unbeaten. They beat Man City, they beat my team Arsenal, they beat Fulham, they beat Spurs on the weekend, and they could beat West Ham United away from home. This game will be very, very, very important, obviously, for West Ham United, especially because they're in the bottom 3. They're 3 points behind from Forest. They are really sneaking now towards where Forest are. They did beat Burnley 2-0 from the weekend. A big result for West Ham. And I think West Ham United, if they can carry on, picking up some good form, and if Nuno Espirito Santo really puts a lot of belief in this team, and the investment of Damature from Fulham to join West Ham as well, a bit of Wolves connection from Nuno and Damature, and even if the West Ham players really gel together from now until the end of the season, then there's a massive chance that West Ham will be safe from relegation. I thought personally, when Forest beat West Ham United way back in January, I thought that was game over for West Ham. I thought West Ham will be done and out, but credit for West Ham, they've really bounced back, picked up some good form, very good form so far in the Premier League. Despite losing to Chelsea, they beat Spurs, they beat Burnley, they beat teams around them as well in the Premier League, and that's very, very important for West Ham, and that's why I do think the relegation battle could go down the wire by the end of the season. In my honest prediction, I've got to say, between West Ham and Man United on today for tonight's game at 2:15, I do think the score's going to be a draw. I do think that these two teams will pick up a draw out of each other. I do think West Ham have got a lot of, let's say, spirit, a little bit after when they picked up a win against Burnley. They've got a couple good results recently as well, and they are creeping up towards where Forest are currently at the table. I don't think West Ham will overtake them this midweek game, but I do think West Ham will pick up a draw over Manchester United. But unfortunately for the Man United fan, have got a long hair he's grown for the last 5 years. 5 years he hasn't touched his hair. Very, very remarkable for a fan of Man United. Very passionate to have Man United to win 5 games in a row, but unfortunately his hair will be still kept on him by the end of the game, because I don't think they're going to win this game on the midweek game tonight against West Ham. So my prediction is going to be 1-1 draw between the Hammers and Man United as my official score prediction for Matchday 26. Now we move on now to Matchday 26's matches for tomorrow. We do have Aston Villa versus Brighton Hove Albion. This will be a very, very big game for Unai Emery. They're currently sitting in third position, and Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool are trying to catch up to Aston Villa. I've seen Villa have been dropping points recently, especially losing to Everton. They dropped points to Bournemouth. They lost 1-0 to Brentford, and now teams below them now are creeping up towards where Aston Villa are currently at the moment. Obviously, Villa were challenging. They were in the top 2, top 3, but I've seen them bouncing back a little bit now, and I've seen teams like Chelsea, Man United and Liverpool catching up to Aston Villa. So it's a very, very important game for the Villains in this matchup. However, for Brighton, they are just sneakily dropping down the table slightly, down to 14th in the Premier League. They did lose 1-0 to Palace on Sunday, and it was a big, big defeat, as Ismail Sarr was the only guy who scored the goal for Palace to win that massive game down the south coast during Sunday's matchup. But as of tomorrow, I do think that with Villa, of course, under pressure to stay in third position, stay in the top 4 race, and since Brighton, however, got to get back in results, I do think this game will come down to a draw. I do think this will be goals in this game. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw between Villa and Brighton for tomorrow. So 2-2 as my official score prediction between the two sides. Now we move on now to my next score prediction. We do have Crystal Palace versus Burnley. Palace are currently doing quite okay. They beat their rivals Brighton 1-0 at the Amex Stadium on Sunday. They do play against Burnley, a team who are struggling down the bottom, and we expect them to be relegated now, obviously, for next season, bouncing back down to the Championship for next season. I do think that Palace, they might have a little bit of a crack, of course, losing Gahey, Oliver Glasner's could obviously leaving at the end of the season, getting crashed out of the FA Cup third round as well to Macclesfield Town from last month. They've been really having a real tough time they are having Palace. But they did beat Brighton on Sunday. Big result for Palace to win that game. Do play Burnley, a team who've obviously have not been great all season. They've had maybe 3 wins this season. They're currently 19th in the league, and to be honest, I don't think they're going to be safe from the relegation drop. So personally, between Palace and Burnley, my score prediction is going to be very, very easy this game for Palace, and I do think they're going to pick up a win this game. I do think Burnley might get a goal in this matchup, but I do think Palace will go to their home game for tomorrow night and win. So my score prediction will be Palace 3, Burnley 1. 3-1 to Crystal Palace for tomorrow. Now my official score prediction between Manchester City and Fulham. Huge game for Man City. A big late goal against Liverpool on Sunday. Erling Haaland, he scored a real proper late penalty to keep Man City alive in the title race. It will come down to Arsenal and Man City from now until the end of the season, but every time we compete with Man City, we always come second every year. So this is going to be a very interesting 12 games from now until the end of the season, and how Man City and how we're going to challenge each other from now until the end of the season. But they do play at home though to Fulham. Fulham did lose 2-1 to Everton on Saturday at Craven Cottage, and I do probably expect that Man City will go to this game and comfortably win this matchup. I do think Fulham will give it a go. I think Fulham will try and do something to stop Man City, but I don't think that's going to happen. So personally, my score prediction between Man City and Fulham, I do think City will got more of a chance to win this game, obviously by where they are in the table and also their squad, and they're at home as well. I do think Pep will not have any blips in this game, so I'm going to go for a 3-0 win for Man City for tomorrow. So yeah, my score prediction is going to be for tomorrow: Man City 3, Fulham 0 at full time. My official score prediction between Nottingham Forest and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Very, very important game this is going to be for Forest, because they are in a real relegation rut with West Ham United. Big loss from the weekend. Big defeat for Nottingham Forest. They did pick up a big disappointing loss in their matchup from their last game against Leeds on Friday Night Football from the last weekend's game. They did lose badly, and they did very well for us to pick up a win away from home against Brentford a few weeks back. They do play at home though at Wolves' stadium. They're back at home now at the City Ground for this matchup, and these games at home for Forest are very important this season. I think their home form will be the most important compared to their away form. Their away form, they could probably get a draw or a win, maybe a lucky win, but at home they got to prioritise on winning most games as possible, because West Ham are only 3 points below where Forest are currently at. But the good thing about Forest though, they do play against Wolves for tomorrow. It's a very important game for Wolves, obviously, to try and get 2-digit points in the Premier League, but obviously that's going to be relegation anyway, written already for Wolves. I do think they're going to be going down regardless. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Wolves are obviously nowhere going to be anywhere safe for next season, but Forest, however, have got a massive chance. 3 points clear from West Ham in 17th position in the league, and they're only 4 points off from Tottenham and 4 points off from Leeds United. So this game is going to be very important. It's going to be, if Forest want to try and climb themselves definitely away from West Ham United during this match day, for match day 26, during the midweek game. So as Forest, of course, are at home, since Forest are really looking for a win after losing to Leeds on Friday, I do think Forest will pick up a 1-0 win. I don't think it'll be nice, this game. I don't think it'll be loads of goals involved in this game, but I do think that Forest will get a goal, and I think it will be that till from the end of the game. And I don't think Wolves will pick up anything from the start of the game to the end of the game. I do think Forest will only get 1 goal in this matchup. So my score prediction between Wolves and Forest at City Ground for tomorrow night, it will be Nottingham Forest 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0 as my official score prediction of my Premier League predictions for this game on Matchday 26. Now we move on now to our last games of Wednesday for tomorrow between Sunderland and Liverpool. This will be a very interesting game for Sunderland, because they are at home and their home form has been so good all season. They're unbeaten at home. A team who got promoted from last season to the Premier League, and at home they are so good. And no team could go to the City Ground, the Stadium of Light, to pick up any wins over Sunderland. Sunderland have been absolutely unbeaten at home this season. End of story. Big loss during the weekend over Arsenal. They lost 3-0 to my team, and I'm so happy they did pick up a win over Sunderland, because Sunderland are a very good team to watch this season. Sunderland's a very brave side. They really know how to play their football. They know how to, keep themselves not pressure whatsoever during any games this season. They've been very solid. They've been very solid. They've been defensively good. They've been brave as well, attacking wise. And you've got to be that sort of team if you want to be in the Premier League, getting promoted from the Championship. You've got to be very brave, and they've done that from now. In these 26 games of the season, they've been very brave. They've lost a few games. We expect them to do that. But at the same time, at home, they're using that games at home at the Stadium of Light Stadium as a fortress at home. They've been that all season for Sunderland. But however, Liverpool travel to Sunderland. Huge game this is going to be, by the way, for Liverpool. They've got to pick up some form. Because Liverpool, however, did lose 3-2 to Bournemouth a few weeks back. A big win over Newcastle 4-1, and then they lost 2-1 to Man City recently on Sunday. So it is a very, very important game for Liverpool to bounce back, because they're in a race for the top four. They are racing themselves to challenge the Champions League positions during now until the end of the season. And that loss to Man City, that late goal from Haaland, was a big, big blow for Liverpool to give away a penalty at the end. And I think they've got to really, really, let's say, focus now on this matchup over Sunderland on tomorrow's game. Personally, my honest prediction between Sunderland and Liverpool, I do think this game will come down to a draw. I don't think that Sunderland will lose at home. I think their unbeaten run at home will still be intact by the end of Matchday 26. But I do think Liverpool will get a goal as well. And I do think that Sunderland will refuse to lose this game over Liverpool. So in my honest prediction for tomorrow night, I think Sunderland will draw to Liverpool as a 1-1 score prediction. Personally, I do think we'll get a draw. I think Sunderland will get a draw out of this game. Sunderland will pick up a big point over Liverpool, but I don't promise myself that Sunderland will pick up any wins or Liverpool will pick up any wins against each other. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw as my score prediction for tomorrow. And now we move on now to the game on Thursday. For my team, Arsenal will play away from home to the side from West London at the G-Tech Stadium. It's Brentford. Brentford versus Arsenal for 8 o'clock kickoff on Thursday night. And we need to definitely win this game, of course. I know Brentford, of course, had a very, very, very good season under Keith Andrews. You know, their players have gelled together since losing a few players during the summer from last season when Thomas Frank left. A few players left, but they've actually gelled together again. And they've really kept themselves, believe themselves a lot more as a team. We expect them to be relegated or in the relegation zone fight during from now until the end of the season. But they proved everybody wrong, and they are really challenging, you know, at the top end of the table, challenging to try and compete in the European positions. They're currently sitting in 7th position in the Premier League on the exact same points as Liverpool. And they could have a chance maybe to sniff themselves to play in European football for next season. But there's still a lot of games to play now from the end of the season. They might end up losing 4 games in the trot. They might be in the bottom half of the table. They might be by the end of the season. But at the same time, Brentford really know how to play their football. Very structured they are. Even under Thomas Frank, very, very structured. Set pieces, they try to, you know, defend quite well at the back. They really defend themselves so strong at the back, Brentford. And that might be a hard thing for us to try and win out of Brentford, because defensively, Brentford have been very organised. They've been very organised. Attacking as well, they might get a funny goal they might get against Arsenal during the matchup for Thursday. But however, from Arsenal's point of view, we did so well by beating Sunderland 3-0. We've done well by winning some few games back-to-back. We beat Leeds, obviously, at Ellen Road. And also we beat Sunderland 3-0 at the Emirates. The two promoted clubs who had a very unbelievable season so far in their first season back in the Premier League. And we beat those two teams away and home as well during the last 2 games. But at this matchup away from home, Brentford will definitely be a hard team to beat. However, for Arsenal, there's pressure on us to try and win the league this season. We have to win the league this season. Man City are 6 points below us in the table. We're 6 points clear from Man City. And there's no excuses for us now to drop points and start getting a bit shaky now, because we are almost there. All we've got to do now is win our games and then rely on other teams below Man City to go and pick up something over Man City. Any lucky draws for Man City to get, or a lucky loss for Man City. And if we win our game as well, we get 9 points clear from Man City. So that is a very important game for us, especially on Thursday. So my honest score prediction for Brentford and Arsenal, I do think we'll go to this game and win the game. I don't think it will be a pretty game, but I do think we'll get ourselves that win against Brentford. So my score prediction is going to be on Thursday, Brentford 0, Arsenal 2. I think Arsenal will be very, very comfortable to go to the GTEC Stadium and pick up the 3 points. So I do think that we'll win the game 2-0 as my official score prediction on Matchday 26. And that's all we have time for here right now for my Premier League predictions for these midweek games on Matchday 26. And if you like this video, go and give me a subscribe on my YouTube channel, and also as well subscribe for my YouTube channel if you want to see more content of my predictions, because my next prediction video will not be the FA Cup predictions, but I'll be predicting my next predictions on my next video of Matchday 27 in 2 weeks time when Arsenal play Spurs on that match days, and I'll be doing my score predictions for all those games for Matchday 27. But that's all we have time for here right now for the predictions for Matchday 26. Thank you all for watching. Hope to enjoy this video, and I'll see you then in 2 weeks time. Peace out and have a good midweek. Have a good one. Take care.